Go live. Welcome to Covers This Puck Props with 14-year NHL vet Carlo Koliakovo, presented by Sports Interaction. Almost a sweep. One David Savard save away from a sweep.
Yeah.
Plus 1.55 units last night. Nothing wrong. Plus the plus 170 Montreal.
Love the Montreal. I even had the plus. I even had
Montreal
the
early in the third though.
No, well, I was getting a little nervous because I had the puck line too. I went Montreal puck line and money line, and so I connected on both. So that was nice.
Oh, you went to plus 105. Gotcha.
Plus 105, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, they got that go-ahead goal, probably about 3 minutes. Caulfield doing his thing there. Slavkovsky gets the early one. He's heating up. We'll look at him. But we get to it immediately. Colorado, Boston. Over. 6.5. Even money right now. This will probably take some money down the stretch. 14-6 combined. Both teams to the over in their last 10. Colorado played absolute perfect over hockey, giving up goals just like the Leafs. They can come back. They can score in bunches. The best situation for this over, I think Boston kind of leading and then Colorado catching up. But each team scoring 4.0 goals per game since the break. This is a spot where, Swayman's not been elite over his last 4. The over's hitting 4 of his last 6. He's average goaltender since the break as well. Do you see any truth in, is there anything we hear about in football, and we probably don't talk about it as much in hockey, but do you see anything with non-conference games being a little less tighter? You know what I mean? There's less of a familiarity factor. There's less of a history there, kind of maybe an edge to more goals and more open game.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if I notice it, but, there definitely isn't that same feeling within the fan base of like a rivalry, like a Toronto-Boston or a Toronto-Montreal where, players that have played in that in years past probably get up for those games a little more. I think with these games here, I think the excitement within the building and the excitement within the players is you want to measure yourself up against the other team who you probably respect and appreciate as one of the better teams on the other side. And when you do that, you're leading towards your best players to lead the way. And when your best players are leading the way, chances are there's going to be goals scored. So I don't necessarily look at it like it doesn't have the same feel as like the NFL where everyone's like, oh, division game, it's going to be a lot tighter. No, I don't get that sense with non-conference games. If anything, there's just more excitement because you don't get to see that team very often. And when you play them, there's a lot more energy that you play with.
Nice. And to add, Georgiev 6-1 to the over in his last 7 starts. Neither Swayman nor Georgiev posting goals against sub 3 or save percentages above 900. So it's a spot where both teams, Boston's still slightly overrated in this spot. They're not the dominant team, and they're not getting a Vezina goalie this year. It's not the team that we saw last year. So if you're looking for lines, Marchand, Coyle, Pasta on that top line. Charlie Coyle, some sneaky plays there. If you can find some bets there. I think his shots on goal is 1.5. And then the top line in Colorado, McKinnon, Drouin, and Rantanen. Let's go Dallas, Philadelphia. Wow. Come on, old man.
Are you in Calgary?
sick kids at home, off of school. We're absolutely dying. You think, oh, this guy's getting into it. No, I think this guy went to bed at 8 o'clock last night.
Yikes.
Got a solid 10 hours in. Dallas, Philadelphia. You don't think there'll be a lot of goals scored. The total sitting at 6, minus 105 to the under. But it's tough not to look at guys that, we do it often when we talk about it, what the price that you'll pay for just guys playing top line minutes. And when guys like Wyatt Johnson are paying plus 120 for a point, it's tough not to just take that just on opportunity alone. He's on the wing with Hintz and Robertson. Pavelski's moved down to the third line, which but it gives that team a lot of depth right now.
Yeah, more depth, yeah.
It's a ton of depth. And like that second line right now, you've got Seguin and Marchand who they're pretty good role players right now. They're not.
You mean Duchesne, not Marchand?
No, who's the guy from Toronto that was there?
Oh, Marchment.
Sorry,
yes.
Marchment, yeah. And he's on the wing on the other side.
Yeah.
But goal and an assist with 4 shots on goal on that line in the last game. solid 5-1 that win versus the Kings. And we'll get to the Kings later. I don't know if they've snapped out of their slump, but this line dominated 78% expected goal percentage. Dallas has won 7 straight meetings. Dallas, the number 1 scoring team in the break at 4.18 goals per game. Carter Hart probably won't be in. Samuel Erson's coming off that shutout, kind of why you're leaning on the under here. But, I mean, with Ottinger back and the inconsistencies in the West, is it my 2 top teams in the West right now are Dallas and Winnipeg?
Yeah, I don't think I can argue with you there. I mean,
no Vegas, no Colorado. They've slipped.
Well, Vegas right now, they're trying to tread water with their injuries, right? I mean, you talk Aiden Hill still's not available for them. Jack Eichel now is out for a good stretch. They're missing some defensemen. I ultimately expect Vegas to be there at the end. You see the streak that Edmonton's on. They're coming back up to relevant status, irrelevant status. Sorry, and you look at the 2 teams right now that have been the consistent all year. It has been Dallas. They get their goaltender back in Ottinger. That'll help strengthen their defensive game. And Winnipeg, I mean, as long as they got Hellebuck in that group of defense, who I looked at the board tonight, I'm like, okay, it's tonight where we cash in again on Winnipeg? Well, it's not tonight. Yeah. I think you make a very valid case for both Dallas and Winnipeg. Now, Dallas and Winnipeg both play in the Central Division, so they're probably going to have to battle each other out. But, you talk about teams that are built for playoff hockey right now, it's Dallas and Winnipeg for sure.
Yeah, I'm not taking away anything from Philadelphia here, but it should be noted that Dallas is a pretty decent -130 favorite in this game versus the Flyers, who we've backed all year. But, I mean, you can't just say that the number is wrong because the market is the market. And I just think that books know that Dallas is an elite team right now.
They are.
Yeah. And they don't even have Miro Heiskanen back. And when he gets back.
That's true. They're playing without Miro Heiskanen. But, look, I just because I like the under in this game doesn't mean that Dallas can't score goals. Doesn't mean that Johnson can't factor in the score sheet, especially when you just pointed out how, you're always trying to find advantages when finding the profitable betting markets of Johnson's a guy right now that's playing on a top line, getting plus money value. I like the way Philly has been playing lately. They find themselves playing in a lot tighter games because they're getting great goaltending too. Erson's been a real bright spot for them. Even Tortorella has highlighted it. And you're coming off their last couple of games that they went through the Central Division. It's they're feeling pretty good about themselves with the game that they're playing.
Another one I'm looking at here, same game, and it's something I don't want a piece of right now, but it's something I'll be waiting for to see. So they're the home team. What time does the home team skate? What time does the home team?
10:30 is what time the home team skates.
They have the early one on the East Coast, so the game's in Philadelphia, so we'll know whether or not, hopefully we'll know if Sean Couturier is jumping back in, because if Sean Couturier doesn't jump back into this game, Morgan Frost is between or playing with Travis Konechny and Owen Tippett, which is, I mean, Tippett and Konechny probably the strongest legit goal scorers Philly can put on the line in that spot. And he's plus 125 for a point right now. He's PP2, but I think in this spot.
Well, PP2 has actually been scoring more of the goals for Philadelphia than PP1. So
they do. Yeah. It's like a lot of teams. If you know it, like maybe, I mean, bad example because Colorado PP2 was scoring the other night, but some teams split up 75-25. Philadelphia is more of a team 50-50. You get both sides, but he's top lining with Tippett and Konechny, and like I said, PP2. So there's a lot there. He played 18 and 19, 30 minutes in the last 2 games and is pointed in both. Points in 7 of his last 12 games. So plus money is pretty good. In a game where we're not expecting a lot of action, a lot of goals, at least go for some plus money. So not going to put it on. If I tweet it out, follow that. I'll make sure that I know that Couturier is out in that game before we call it a play. Let's jump over to the Leafs.
I I saw this and I'm like, he did it again. He did it again. He found it.
He jumps up. I know you love your power play points, but here it is.
Yeah.
It's quite a simple handicap. Mackenzie Weegar jumps into the top power play unit, and plus 500 is just not a number that you should be getting here for a guy who touches the puck maybe every 2, every 3 touches on a power play playing the point. The Leafs penalty kill, not great. No. It's not great. What do we got? 20, I think since the break, I think only San Jose is worse, sub 70%. For comparison, Morgan Riley for a power play point is plus 290. So plus 500, it's an automatic play just on price alone. But then you add in the fact that Toronto is not great on the penalty kill. The schedule spot's not great for Toronto, who's Edmonton 2 days ago, Calgary today, Vancouver on Saturday, and Seattle on Sunday. Yikes. It's home for one game and then Winnipeg for another game. It's not a great spot. Frustration's kind of boiling over. And defensively, this is just an awful team. Just to play on price alone, and how much more do you like it because it's a matchup versus the Leafs penalty kill?
I love it. Because you're talking about opportunity here. A guy that's jumping up.
Did you just write that down in your book to make sure you bet it after the show?
What? Oh, yes, absolutely. I do. I made a note of it. 100%. Yes. You know how I feel about when you find these plays, right? Guys that jump up into higher roles and you get good value at it. Look, there's a lot going wrong with the Maple Leafs right now. It's not just the penalty kill, but it's the way they play defense as well, too. So I don't know if we're going to see a run and gun game. You'd imagine with all the criticism that the Leafs have been getting publicly, not only just by the media, but by their coach about trust and defensive issues, that they would probably take that information and probably want to right the ship. But again, you're playing against a Calgary team that's playing their best hockey right now, feeling really good about themselves, won 4 in a row, have a chance to, get closer to a playoff spot. So, you're taking the shot here strictly on value. Like, we're not going to see a 0-0 game. You're going to see goals be scored. And if Calgary gets a power play and Weegar's out there, you hope he finds a way to get, at least one of the 3 points that factor into the goal. Because if you do, you're getting good value.
60%. So you 60% chance if 3 people are pointing on that situation. And for a guy who just hands off to his right, hands off to his left, not a bad spot. If you're looking for any combinations of lines, it's Dylan Dubé, Elias Lindholm, and Sharon Govich on the top line right now for Calgary. And Lindholm and Sharon Govich have been playing well. Not a bad combo.
Sharon Govich's not a tear lately.
Yeah, not a bad combo to put together. The weird thing about Weegar is, like, you have to go power play point or nothing because he has no point market.
Wow.
It just strictly power play. So that's why we're going to Weegar. If you can find his point at anything at even money or better, there's a spot there for it too. But solid number here in a great matchup for a guy moving up to PP1 that's not exactly priced in. We go from Toronto, Calgary to a game where we could see some goals. Let's just say that this is a spot where we could certainly see some goals, and we're going to double up, I think, on some player props here in the game. Montreal, Ottawa. Montreal coming off that big win last night, put some money in our pocket. Ottawa continues to play shootout hockey. They can't stop it. Since Anton Forsberg's gone down, it's been both teams have scored 3 goals in 4 straight. They have the offense to compete, but they're also allowing a ton of goals. This is a spot where I wouldn't mind taking a piece of Montreal because they're probably overrated just because it's a back-to-back. But, honestly, we've talked about it before on air, Carlo. It's not that big of a disadvantage. But they're an inconsistent team. You know what I mean? Like, they're not a vet team.
Who's more inconsistent, Montreal or Ottawa?
Oh, that's a tough call.
Right? At least Montreal has some good going for them. They're only 4 points out of a playoff spot. And in back-to-back games, they just beat the Colorado Avalanche and the New Jersey Devils. So they have a lot more positive mojo going with them. So the value, I think, is on them. But, Montembeault played last night in New Jersey. I would imagine this is probably going to be a Jake Allen game or maybe even a Caden Primo game. And does it really matter who plays in net for Ottawa?
Plus 150 for Montreal money line again?
It's worth a shot. I mean, why is Ottawa favored that much?
minus 190.
How can you trust what?
Yeah,
Ottawa's favored minus 190? Why would look, they might win the game, but there's no way I would ever lay 90 cents on an Ottawa Senators team that can't keep the puck out of their net.
Oh man, I guess we're doing it then.
Am I?
No, you're right. You're right. Like, I think a lot of idea about like whether or not you want to take one side or not is your conviction on not taking the other side. Like sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not. Oh, I want Montreal in this spot. Sometimes it's I want no piece of Ottawa at minus 190.
That's strictly the mindset. It's not that I like one team or the other. It's just there's no value in betting Ottawa minus 90 because they could easily lose this game because they just can't defend and they can't keep the puck out of their net. The value in this game, if you're going to pick a side, is picking Montreal. And I know Rich H on the group or on the chat says that it's 6 games in 9 days for Montreal. Yeah, okay, it's a tough schedule spot, but I mean, we saw the Detroit Red Wings come into Toronto an hour before game time and beat the Maple Leafs. It happens in hockey.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I think that's the side. Let's go Montreal here. And the one thing I do like about it before goalies are announced on the second game of a back-to-back, you're at least getting some quality goaltending with whoever is in net. They're still carrying 3 goalies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, not too often you can be like, oh, out of all 3 goalies, you don't care. Like Sam Montembeault was good. I'm happy with Jake Allen. And even if Primo's in, I'm happy with that situation too.
Yeah.
All right, let's go Montreal money line. Let's go back to Greg. I know we're kind of betting against ourselves, but we'll get another one in the pocket there. But Greg is just a spot at even money that, I mean, the guy's playing with Giroux and Tkachuk on that top line. Okay. No PP for the center, but Montreal is still a bottom 5 team in expected goals against per 60 since January 1st. He had 2 goals in his last game and 5 points over his last 4 since the Norris injury. So you're kind of seeing a spot where, like, I don't know if the comparison's great, but like Gabe Velarde jumping in for Kyle Connor, just kind of the show of opportunity is more important than maybe sometimes skills. I mean, Greg's a young guy. He's a 22-year-old prospect. We don't really know what he is, but Josh Norris was good in that spot, and now that's his spot. So two-way scoring is expected. We're not expecting to take the Montreal money line right now and win 4-0. Someone's scoring, and I mean, if Montreal's leading, I'm happy that top line is going to be jumping over the boards for Ottawa if I'm holding Greg at even money.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And there's, you talk to some people that cover the Ottawa Senators. They've been, pumping really Greg's tires lately because he's really played some good hockey, which is why he's been elevated to the top line.
Let's go on the other side, correlate our stuff here with a little bit of that. Let's get the beast, the man who rides a stationary bike harder than any other human being that's ever existed. I do cheer for this guy to get going, right? Montreal wants him to get going. I'm happy to see him, but he's still a young guy, but starting to put it together. Yaroslav Slafkovsky, over a point. Let's go. Plus 110. This is a great price. Top line, PP1, playing with Suzuki, playing with Caulfield. I love the relationship that they have, that they play on that top line and play on PP1. And you're just playing on Ottawa team who we just talked ourselves into never taking them at minus 190 in any game that's ever existed in this entire slate because they can't keep the puck out of the net.
Yeah, no, I definitely do see value here. And I watched a lot of the Montreal game last night against New Jersey, and that top line is Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky. Every time they had the puck in the offensive zone, they were creating something. And Slafkovsky right now, I've been pretty critical of his, I wouldn't say his game, but his, his process, or at least his his hockey sense. Because here's a guy that I understand he's got the bill of the first overall pick, and that probably comes with a lot of pressure, especially in a market like Montreal. But he has to understand who he is and what his strengths are. Okay. He's 6'4". He's 230 pounds. He is the perfect definition of a power forward. And those guys are a rare breed in the NHL. And I think if he recognizes that and he finds a way to develop more into that, he could be a very dominant player in this league, especially playing with those two players. And I find a lot when I see him play with those two guys, he's in the slot, he's in a good scoring area, and he's looking to make the nice no-look pass or the pretty pass. I'm like, dude, you're in a prime scoring area. You're in the offensive zone. Shoot the puck more. Be a little bit more selfish because you have that skill set. And so what he's doing a lot right now, playing with these guys, I think he's accepted that information. He's understanding, get to those scoring areas, and when the puck comes to you, find a way to get a shot on net for a scoring chance. And so it's taken time for him to get to this point. It's probably going to take a little bit more time to get to what I envision he can be. But in saying that, he's had a really, really good stretch here over the last 2 weeks of playing good hockey.
Yeah, over his last 2 games, he has the most shots on goal over that stretch over the entire season. 6 versus Colorado, 2 versus New Jersey.
He's listening, yeah.
No, but like it is a perfect spot. Like just be big, let Suzuki do his thing, let Caulfield do his thing.
Exactly.
Just hang out and just
not everybody can be big, not everybody can be strong like you are, and everybody can be, as talented as you are. Find a way to put all those skill set together and be a guy that nobody can really stop, because you got 2 guys that can get you the puck. And how much do we crave for power forwards in this league? And when we see them, we love watching them play. He's a guy that could develop into that, I think.
No, it's if you kind of look at a top line to plop him on, it's almost the perfect situation. If he can't succeed in that spot, then there's trouble. But certainly doing that. Everybody there in the chat, appreciate everybody pumping things up. Printo back soon. Yes, not sure it's coming immediately. Adam Renkamps, love the slap look. Thank you. He's also on the Wyatt Johnson idea. Smart man. It's just an easy thing. If I'm looking for props, and I mean, I'm not sitting there with a model where I can just filter through and look at markets that quick. The easiest thing and the less time consuming thing to do is see who's moving and see if their markets have moved with the new opportunities. That's the first one. Then you can go to some secondary stuff, but that's the easiest one to jump in the morning. So turned into 3 plays in that Montreal game, but we're not done. I think the best dog, I thought maybe this one was the best dog, but we got Montreal at an incredible price there. I mean, this is a tough one. It looks ugly, but if I'm taking Nashville at plus 130. They have things that they can do to steal games, obviously. I don't like Nashville as a favorite. I haven't all year. I don't like laying juice with Nashville. I think they're an average team at best. But in this situation, there's a few things I like about it. The Kings obviously had that 8-game losing streak, was ugly as sin. They snapped it, and then they lost 5-1 to Dallas. That was a 6-game road trip. They went 1-5 straight up. They're 1-9 straight up in their last 10. They just finished their road trip. This is their first game back home. Nashville was in Vegas 3 days ago. That's comfortable. Then they go to Arizona 2 days on Saturday. It's a pretty comfortable situation for a Nashville team who, like I said, can out-goalie you. I mean, you always want a goalie to win a game in a situation where you're plus 130. We got it last night in Montreal, and that's the situation. But this is a tough skid for LA. How does this schedule hurt them? And one thing you want as a team to get you out of these slumps is goaltending. And Cam Talbot is not that guy. Yeah. He was obviously playing over his head to begin the season, and he's regressing to his career numbers. How hard is it to get out of a slump when you can't get proper goaltending?
Well, I think what gave LA a lot of confidence early on in the year is that they had a great tandem they can rely on with Talbot and Copley. Well, Copley ended up being lost for the season because of an injury, and now they've had to ride Talbot a lot harder. And is that taking a toll on him? And is that toll taking a toll on the team? Because Dan Rittich is the other guy that they have to think about throwing in net.
Yeah.
So they have to find a way to balance that, because this team has relied on superb goaltending throughout the first start of the season. But I'm just looking at Nashville's schedule right now. Nashville doesn't lose back-to-back games, especially over the last month. Every time they've had a loss, they've had a bounce-back win. So they had a loss in Vegas the other night. I think a surprise one to many. I think they were favorites going into that game because of all the injuries that Vegas had. They lose 4-1. have had a couple of days to chew on that now. And now they get an LA team. I think that's, ripe for another loss because of, the long road trip that they were on. And I've always talked about, the first game back after long road trips are always the toughest ones to play. Maybe this is setting up to be that same thing for Nashville. I don't see I would not lay the 70 cents on LA just because of, everything they're going through right now. But if you like plus money value, I think for sure there is a lot of value on Nashville tonight.
Rich in the chat brings up a question. Does it make sense defensemen on back-to-back games would probably block more shots on the second night? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it does bring up a good point, because if tired ends up becoming, or fatigue ends up becoming a factor in that game, well then, yeah, you're going to play slower, which also means you're probably going to do more to supplement the things that you're probably not able to bring to the game. So if you don't have the same energy, you're probably going to play less physical. You're probably going to focus on playing better positionally, and maybe playing better positionally is doing more to sacrifice yourself to protect pucks from going to the net, which means blocking more shots.
Yeah, it was the chat last night that was saying it was Goulet over Savard for the shots.
Right.
And numbers wise, his name's Caden, right? Caden
Goulet, yeah.
Yeah. He's 24 minutes compared to Savard, who's like 20. So there's a big difference. They block shots at the same rate, but I believe he's still a rookie, right? I believe.
No, he's not. He was rookie last year.
So yeah, he came in the Shane Wright year.
Adam Renkamp suggests too that Robin Yossi at assist at plus 120 is a good play. He's got an assist in 4 straight games. So I just love the winners, or at least the picks that could be winners that all of our listeners, our audience are suggesting for us.
No, we greatly appreciate all the help. Twin Pick says, Koliakova, love you, man.
Hey, yes.
It's all right. I don't need any love.
You're just a pigeon.
I don't need any love there, Twins Picks. I'm good. It's cool. I'm not emotionally fragile.
How about this next one that Rich H just posted in about some power play props for the Bruins?
Coyle's the man. Like I want.
Yeah.
So this is what I was drafting up, because Coyle has a 1.5 shot goal market. And Dwight Johnson also has 1.5 shots.
Wyatt Johnson? Say that again?
Wyatt Johnson. Oh, now he's writing it down.
No. What did you say? Have the same as who did you have?
1.5. They both have 1.5 shot on goal totals.
All right.
So I like both of them, but like it's tough to ladder when you can't get any value on the 1.5 because it's like minus 170. So put them together, the 1.5s, ladder from 2, ladder to 3. And ladder to 4, which both of them have done recently in their new positions, spending half a unit on the 2, third of a unit on the 3, and then 2.2 on the 4. So laddering that way. And if Morgan Frost gets the number 1 role there, I'm going to put him all 3 of them round robin.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy.
He's lost his damn mind. Could be a yacht night, eh?
He's lost his damn mind.
Could be one of those yacht nights where you buy enough to buy a yacht.
We'll see how it goes. What price should we pay for anytime point? Not sure who you're talking about in that situation.
So basically, the LA Bulldog is saying that for people that don't have PP point offerings, power play point offerings, what price should you pay on that person to get a point instead of just a power play point?
So someone like Coyle, who's playing top line, I looked at him, his number has adjusted slightly. So he's like minus 135, minus 140 for a point, which versus Colorado is probably not a bad play if you want to lay 40 cents on it. Probability wise, it's good. Like we saw what Duran was when we got him at plus 110 and he slowly come down. He's about minus 165. So if you're getting the guy top line player, PP1 for a point, the bottom of that market is about minus 165. So I still think minus 140 for someone like Coyle, minus 135 is slightly plus EV. Uyghur, we wanted the PP, but he doesn't have a point market. Other than that, that's kind of where we are. Josh reminds me of Charlie Day. That's the second. The last time I heard that was at a bar, and a girl told me that, and I wasn't too sure what she was talking about.
Who's Charlie Day?
Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, I never watched
Wild
that
card.
show.
Oh, come on. Yeah, no, Charlie Day's an absolute gem, a hero of mine. So appreciate the chat, everybody there. But big slate today. We got a few things. We added a couple more. I apologize for the slow move, and that's me behind the mic doing the producing here. So we started off a little Colorado Boston over 6.5 even money. I think that play does take some money. I don't think that Boston is the defensive juggernaut and getting the goaltending that they should be, that they were last year. Obviously, why Johnson jumps onto that top line for a point plus 120, like that spot, even if we're not projecting a ton of goals in that game. Morgan Frost for a point, if he can get that spot. If Sean Couturier sits out, plus 125 is a good spot, and like both of them, over 1.5 shots if you can put that together. Mackenzie Weegar jumps up to PP1, playing the Leafs, who sit in the bottom 3, I believe, in PK percentage, under 70% since the break, plus 500, half a unit there. That's something that I'd play to about. Fair price should be about plus 350. Ridley Gregg jumps up to that top line too. If you're noticing the trend, it's kind of how we're doing things. Even power play 2, I believe, but even money for a point in a game that I wouldn't be surprised if that total touched 7 today. And then on the Montreal side, Slafkovsky plus 110 for a guy facing an Ottawa team that can't keep the puck out of the net. First line, playing with studs, power play 1, getting his 18, 19 minutes a game. Love that play. And then we talked ourselves into the Montreal money line just because we were not touching Ottawa at any rate at minus 190. And then another great one down at the end. If you're looking for another dog to add to the card and looking for something late, are you blocking people from talking to you right now? Is that the move? I've done that move. Okay, I can't hear you.
I don't know what you're talking about. I just put the mute on because my kids came in. So.
Oh, good. The old cough button.
Yeah.
And Nashville money line. That's what we are. We always turn our Thursdays into a pretty big card, and we talk ourselves into something.
Love it.
But that's what we are. Love a big slate. Darren, appreciate Jaden, Rich, Twins, Adam, all the boys there in the chat.
Appreciate all the messages in the chat. I love it.
No, it's really growing. So we greatly appreciate it there. Thanks to everybody there. Thanks to Sports Interaction for presenting this, giving us the odds here. So that's a wrap for another big Thursday show. I'm Josh Ingles. He's Carlo Koliakovo. This is NHL Puck Prop presented by Sports Interaction. We'll see you back here tomorrow, Friday, 10 a.m.
Can't wait. Ciao.